Hello, welcome to the brand new session of very interesting topic, and that is EC Council's certified ethical hacking. And this is a module 1 in which we will discuss about the introduction to ethical hacking. So, ethical hacking, also known as white hat hacking or penetration testing, which is the practice of testing computer systems, network, or application to identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So, it is involving using hacking techniques and tools with the permissions and for the benefits of the system's owner. Maybe you can say they are aiming to improve the security measures and prevent unauthorized access. So ethical hackers helps organization identify and fix potential security risk and ultimately enhancing the overall security postures of the targeted systems. So let's have a discussion about the ethical hacking and their branches. So here is a learning objective. In this session, we will discuss about the information security, then hacking methodologies and their frameworks, hacking concepts and different hacker classes, hacking concepts, scopes, then techniques used in information security controls, then importance of applicable security laws and standards. So the first topic is information security. So guys, information security refers to the protection or safeguarding of information and information systems that are using, storing and transmitting the information from unauthorized access, disclosure and alteration and destruction. So, information is a critical asset that organization must secure, and if sensitive information falls into the wrong hands, then the respective organization may suffer huge losses in terms of, you can say, finances, brand reputations, customers, or in other way as well. So, to provide an understanding of how to secure such critical information resources, this module starts with an overview of information security. So this section introduces you the elements of information security, classifications of attacks and the information warfare. So we need to understand what exactly is elements of information security and what it is. So information security is the state of the well-being of information and infrastructure in which the possibility of theft, tampering or disruption of the information and services which is kept low or tolerable. So it relies on some five major elements. You can say the first is confidentiality, integrity, availability and authenticity, non-repudiation. So if I talk about confidentiality, so it is the assurance that the information is accessible only to authorized users or authorized systems. So confidentiality breaches may occur due to improper data handling or hacking attempts. So confidentiality controls include the data classification, data encryption and the proper disposal of equipments like you can say DVD, USB drives or Blu-ray disc. Then second, integrity. So integrity is the trustworthiness of data or resources in the prevention of improper and unauthorized changes. So the assurance that information is sufficiently accurate for its purpose, and measures to maintain the data integrity may include a checksum and maybe access control as well, right? So that is integrity. Well, third is availability. So it is the assurance that the systems responsible for delivering, storing and processing the information are accessible when the required by the authorized user. And measure to maintain the data availability can include disk arrays for redundant system and clustered you can say machines, antivirus software to combat malware and distributed denial of services prevention system. So that is known as availability. Fourth, authenticity, which is refers to the characteristic of communication, document, or any data that ensure that the quality of being genuine or uncorrupted. So the major role of authentication is to confirm that a user is genuine, right? And controls such as biometric, smart card, and digital certificate ensure the authenticity of data, transactions, communications, and the documents as well. Last but not the least, non-repudiation. So it is a guarantee, you can say it is a way to guarantee that the sender of a message cannot later deny having sent the message and that the recipient cannot deny having received the message. Individual and organization use digital signatures to ensure non-repudiation. So let's take an example one by one. First, we will have a discussion about the confidentiality. So imagine a company that stores customers' data, including personal information like names, address, and credit card details to ensure confidentiality. The company implements strong access controls, encryption protocol, and some secure storage method as well. So only authorized personal users or authorized system with proper authentication can access this sensitive data, and it's transmitted and stored in the encrypted format. So this way the company safeguard the confidentiality of its customer information and preventing unauthorized individuals or entities from obtaining and misusing the data. The second is integrity. So, suppose a company has a database of financial records that are critical for its operations. So, to ensure data integrity, the company implements various measures. For instance, they use checksums or hash functions to verify the integrity of data during the transmission or storage. So the regular backup are performed to protect against the data loss or corruption. So access controls are in a place to prevent unauthorized modifications to the financial records. Additionally, the company employs techniques like digital signatures to ensure the authenticity and integrity of important documents. So, by maintaining the data integrity, the company can rely on accurate and trustworthy information for decision making and ensure the overall reliability of its system. Third, you can say the availability. So you can consider an e-commerce website that caters to a large number of customers. So to ensure the availability, the company invests in the redundant infrastructure and implements the load balancing technique. So they have multiple servers distributed across different geographic locations, allowing for seamless traffic distribution and preventing single point of failure. So additionally, the website employs robust monitoring systems that promptly detect and resolve any performance issue or outage. So the regular backup and disaster recovery plans are also in the place to minimize downtime and ensure that the website remains accessible to the customer at all time. So by prioritizing availability, the company ensures that the customers can browse, shop, and complete transactions without any interruptions, enhancing their overall experience and satisfaction. So the next is authenticity. Let's say a person receives an email from their bank claiming to be a security alert requesting them to provide their login credentials to verify the authenticity of the mail. Then the person contacts the bank directly using a trusted phone number from their official website. So the bank confirms that they did not send any kind of email and advises the person not to provide their sensitive information. So in this kind of example, you can say the person demonstrates an awareness of authenticity by verifying the legitimacy of email through a trusted channel. By taking this step, they avoid falling victim to a phishing attempt or sharing their login credentials with an unauthorized party. So, verifying the authenticity of communications and interactions helps protect individuals from a fraud and ensure that they engage with the trusted source. In fact, the two-step verification, that is a nice example of authenticity. Last but not the least, non-repudiation. Suppose two parties, like in this example, Alice and Bob, engage in the digital contract signing process. So they both use a secure digital signature mechanism that ensure non-repudiation. So after signing the contract, Alice cannot later deny that she signed it, and Bob cannot claim that Alice did not sign it. So in this example, non-repudiation is achieved through the use of digital signature, which provide evidence of the signer's identity and integrity of the signed documents. So this prevents either party from falsely denying their participation or altering the contract after it has been signed. or ensuring the trust and accountability in digital transactions as well. So again, you can say the two-step verification, or you can say end-to-end encryption in WhatsApp. That is a nice example for non-repudiation. So the next point is motive, goals and objectives of information security attacks. So attackers generally have motives, that mean goals, and objectives behind their information security attacks. So the motive originates out of the notion that a target system stores or processes something valuable which leads to the threat of an attack on the system. So the purpose of the attack may be to disrupt the target organization's business operations, to steal valuable information for the sake of curiosity, or even to extract revenge as well. So therefore, these motives or goals depends on the attacker's states of mind, their reasons for carrying out such an activity, as well as their resources and capabilities. So once the attacker determines their goal, they can employ various tools, attack techniques and methods to exploit vulnerabilities in a computer systems or security policy and control. So that's why we say attacks is equals to motive, that mean goal, plus method plus vulnerability, right? So motive behind information security attacks like disrupt business community, maybe stealing information and manipulating data, creating fear and chaos by disrupting critical infrastructures, causing financial loss to the target, then propagating religious or political beliefs, then achieving a state's military objectives, then damaging the reputation of the target, then taking revenge and demanding ransoms as well. So these are the actual process of motive, goals, or you can say objective of information security attacks. So the next point is classification of attacks, right? So according to IATF, security attacks are classified into 5 categories, that is passive, active, close-in, insider and distribution. So passive attacks, if I just talk about the passive attacks, so passive attacks involves intercepting and monitoring network traffic and data flow on the target network and do not tamper with the data. So attackers perform reconnaissance on network activities using sniffers. So these attackers are very difficult to detect as a attacker has no active interaction with the target systems or network. So passive attacks allow attackers to capture the data or files being transmitted in the network without the consent of any user. For example, an attacker can obtain information such as unencrypted data in transit, clear text credentials or other sensitive information that will be useful in performing active attacks, right? So there are some example of passive attacks like footprinting, sniffing and eavesdropping, network traffic analysis and decryption of weakly encrypted traffic. So the next is active attacks. So active attacks tamper with the data in transit or disrupt communication or services between the systems to bypass or break into the secured system. Attackers launch attacks on the target systems or network by sending traffic actively that can be detected. So, these attacks are performed on the target network to exploit the information in transit. So they penetrate or infect the target internal network and gain access to the remote system to compromise the internal network. So there are some example of active attacks as well. So like you can say the DOS, bypassing protection mechanism. You can say malware attacks such as virus, worms, ransomware, Trojan or something like that. Modification of information is also the attack which is in coming into the active attack. Spoofing attack, reply attack, password based attack, session hijacking attack, man in the middle attack, DNS or maybe ARP poisoning, compromised key attack. So there are a lot of attacks which I will give you the list in my slides, so don't worry about it. So there are a lot of active attacks, but yeah, I just gave you some of the names. So the next is close-in attacks as well. So what is close-in attacks? So these attacks are performed when the attacker is in close physical proximity with the target systems or network. So the main goal of performing this type of attack is to gather or modify information or disrupt its access. For example, an attacker might shoulder surf user credentials, and attackers can close proximity through surreptitious entry, open access, or you can say the both, right? or maybe you are entering any kind of pin in your ATM, and I'm just behind your and I'm watching your pin or something like that. So this is how it will work. So examples of close in attacks are, you can say, was dropping, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, or maybe other method as well, like social engineering. So this kind of attacks, it's included in the close in attacks as well, right? So the next is insider attacks, right? Insider attacks are performed by the trusted person. That is the most important thing, right? Who have physical access to the critical asset of the target. So an insider attack involves using privileged access to the violate rules or intentionally cause a threat to the organization's information or information systems. So insiders can easily bypass security rules, corrupt valuable resources, and access the sensitive information as well. So they may misuse the organization asset to directly affect the confidentiality, integrity, availability of information systems. So these attacks impact the organization's business operations, reputation, and profit as well. So it is difficult to figure out an insider attack. But there are some example for insider attack as well, like avast dropping, maybe you can say wiretapping, or you can also say the keylogger, backdoors, social engineering, data theft and spoliation, then pod slumping, then planting keylogger, backdoors, or malware, or many of them, right? So we will discuss in upcoming sections that what are these kind of attacks and how we can implement, right? So do not worry about it. So the next is distribution attacks. So the distribution attacks occur when the attacker tamper with the hardware or software prior to installation, and attackers tamper the hardware or software as its source, and when it is in transit actually. So examples of distribution attacks include backdoor created by the software or hardware vendors at the time of manufacture. So attackers leverage these backdoors to gain unauthorized access to the target information systems or the network. So there are some examples like modification of software or hardware during the production, maybe during the distribution, right? So these kind of examples you can take in the distribution attack. So basically we are just having the overview of information security. So till now we discussed about the overall the description of information security, then elements of information security, then motives, goals, and objective of information security, and the last but not the least, we discussed classification of attacks. So the next point is information warfare. So this is the term information warfare which we are just discussing. It is also known as infowar, right? Which is refers to the use of information and communication technologies for competitive advantage over an opponent. So example of information warfare weapons include viruses, worms, Trojan horses, logic bombs, trapdoors, nanomechanisms, and microbes. You can say electronic jamming, penetration exploits, and tools, etc. So there are a lot of examples which I can give you in information warfare, but in fact this is an overview about the information warfare. But as you can see that there are two important stuff which I have kept in my slide, that is defensive information warfare and the offensive information warfare. So these are two strategies, right? So defensive information warfare involves all these strategies and actions to defend against the attacks on ICT assets. And the second, offensive information warfare, involves the attacks against the ICT assets on an opponent. So that is an important thing, right? And what is ICT? I have earlier discussed what exactly ICT is, right? That is information and communication technologies. But actually if we just talk about the information warfare, so this information warfare, we have divided into some of the following categories, like command and control warfare, We will discuss about this in the practical demonstration when we will just go through it. So command and control warfare, maybe intelligence based warfare, electronic warfare, psychological warfare, hacker warfare. So these kind of warfare, you will have in this kind of, I am remembering two more as economic warfare and cyber warfare as well. So these kind of, each form of information warfare mentioned above, the consist of both the defensive and the offensive strategies as well. So this was the session about the information security. Obviously, we are on module number 1, introduction of ethical hacking. But yes, in this session, we discussed about information security overview, in which we discussed element of information security, motive, goals, and objective of information security, classification of attacks, and the information warfare.